I recall him saying at some point, I was thinking of wearing a muumuu, or... And Marlon went, hey, listen, bub, you got to give me a little room to swing a cat here,
Every impressionist seems to have a signature impression. For me, it's John Madden. I love it when he explains things that you already know. He'll say things like,
You need to see. Because seeing is important, and if you can't see, then you don't know what you're looking at.
Frank Caliendo comes out and turns into Madden so hard that it feels like the couch becomes a broadcast booth.
Madden will say something like,
Hey, that guy right there, that guy's got mud on his jersey. And now there's less mud on the field. And now he's got to get a clean jersey. And I don't know, Pat never did this crap to me.
Dave can barely get a word in because Caliendo's Madden just keeps explaining things that don't need explanation.
Hey, if the referee, if he throws the flag and he didn't make a mistake, then there is probably going to be a penalty.
The impression becomes its own self-sustaining comedy engine. Dana Carvey, the Carson clone.
I love Johnny Carson, and when I did the impression, I maybe realized what a nice guy he is, because he's always trying to make his guests seem comfortable and make their story seem a little better than they actually are.
Yeah. Carvey comes out and instantly nails Carson's rhythm, turning the smooth host voice into a weirdly precise parody.
Anyway, we are back, and Ed, I just realized that's the last time I'll be saying we are back. It feels a little weird.
We are back. I just explained to Ricardo. He is from Israel, and he's been the subject of a lot of study and quite a bit of controversy.
He slips into that relaxed Carson cadence and starts talking like he's already holding the room hostage with polite control, then pivots into Leno and changes the whole energy.
That is wild. He went, and then he tries to get. He went to the store.
He's embellishing a little bit.
And you got up there, and you just didn't have your wallet. That is wild, weird stuff. Just to make.
Letterman said, Carvey's Carson is so accurate, it's unnerving watching him become Johnny Wright in front of me. Jim Carrey, the David Caruso dramatist.
Okay, David Caruso style.
Carrey sits down and treats the interview like a full character sketch instead of a chat. He drops into Caruso's intense gotcha seriousness and turns every line into a dramatic TV cop beat until it becomes absurd. Dave told his staff Carrey's commitment to that Caruso bit was so complete, I gave up trying to interview him. Ed Norton, the method impressionist.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Baltimore. Baltimore. Someone. That's typical, one person clap.
Norton casually flips into Brando, and suddenly the couch feels like a movie set with a legend taking over the room.
De Niro is a whole... Bob is like one, he's truly a genius. Working, he's everything he's cracked up to be, but he's also like, he's got his own. You got bugs in here tonight.
I know. And was Marlon not speaking to the director, Frank?
No.
What happened there?
That got a little...
4 million grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yeah. I don't know why that can't be a bowl of Doritos in this scene.
He shifts from Brando's heavy loaded pauses into De Niro's sharper intensity without warning.
That he wanted to run with, I recall him saying at some point, I was thinking of wearing a muumuu, And Marlon went, hey, listen, bub, you got to give me a little room to swing a cat here, I was like, I leaned over to him, I said, what the hell does that mean,
And doesn't just do voices, he does the attitude. Letterman reportedly said, Norton's impressions aren't performances, they're possessions. He becomes those guys. Bill Hader, the brave, Tom Cruise mimic.
And then Tom Cruise walks in, and even those guys are like, whoa, and he's super stoked to be there, just like, yeah, oh, boom. He's like...
Hader starts telling a story, then suddenly turns into Cruise, which is already risky when Cruise is sitting right there. He hits the cadence and energy so cleanly that Cruise visibly cracks up, and the segment becomes about watching the real person enjoy the exaggeration. Dave later joked, Hader doing Cruise to Cruise's face took more guts than most guests bring to the show. Rich Little, the presidential impressionist.
Regis, who is Dean Martin?
Rich Little walks out and cycles through presidents like he's giving a history lesson through voices. He nails Reagan's folksy delivery and Nixon's growling paranoia, making each president instantly recognizable. Letterman told his bandleader, "Little's been doing these voices for 40 years, and they still sound fresh." Jay Moore, the sports broadcasting genius. Jay Moore launches into his Christopher Walken impression, then pivots to various sports broadcasters with frightening accuracy. He captures the specific cadence of announcers and turns mundane play-by-play into comedy gold. Dave reportedly said, "Moore's got that rare ability to make impressions funny, not just accurate." Matt Damon, the McConaughey philosopher.
Right. I tell you what, if I win that Oscar this year, I'm gonna go over to Sochi, talk to that president they have over there, and me and him are gonna take our shirts off.
Damon drops into McConaughey's drawl and instantly turns the segment into a vibe instead of an impression. He leans into the all right swagger and keeps talking like every sentence is a slow-motion philosophy quote. It works because Damon doesn't rush it. He lets the pauses and smooth confidence do the comedy. Letterman laughs because it feels both accurate and ridiculous at the same time. The impression sticks because it's not just sound, it's the whole laid-back persona. Damon captures that specific McConaughey quality of making everything sound profound, even when it's nonsense. Dave tries to move the interview forward, but Damon stays locked into the drawl. Will Ferrell, the Harry Caray space enthusiast.
Bottom of the eighth, 2 outs. Johnny Davis at the plate.
Will Ferrell comes out as Harry Caray and immediately starts asking Dave absurd questions about space and the Cubs in that slurred, legendary voice. He combines Caray's drinking-inflected delivery with completely insane premises, like whether you'd eat the moon if it was made of ribs. The bit works because Ferrell commits to the drunken logic while maintaining perfect broadcaster cadence. Dave tries to engage seriously with the ridiculous questions, which makes it even funnier. Ferrell's Caray keeps circling back to food-based astronomy questions that make no sense. The audience loses it because the impression is both spot-on and completely unhinged. Letterman plays the straight man perfectly, letting Ferrell's absurdity drive the segment. Norm Macdonald, the deadpan Letterman.
Marty and I were making Taxi Driver. We're filming Taxi Driver. Marty turns to me, he says, Oh, let me guess. Probably said this, probably. Yeah, you enjoy the shrimp? Yeah, you enjoy the shrimp?
Norm sits down with that trademark deadpan energy and casually drops into a Letterman impression that's somehow both terrible and perfect at the same time. The genius is, Norm doesn't try to nail Dave's voice. He captures the rhythm and attitude while sounding nothing like him. Letterman's face shows confusion mixed with delight because Norm's doing him wrong, but somehow right. The impression works because Norm treats it like a joke that might bomb, and that's exactly what makes it funny. He exaggerates Dave's gap-toothed smile and the way he leans back in the chair during interviews. The audience laughs at the audacity of doing such a bad impression directly to Letterman's face. Norm commits to the bit with that signature confidence that dares you not to laugh. He mimics Dave's drumroll gesture and the way he adjusts his tie between questions. Letterman tries to stay professional, but you can see him breaking because Norm's version is affectionate mockery. The impression captures Dave's mannerisms without any attempt at vocal accuracy. Norm makes it clear he's not an impressionist. He's a comedian using impression as a vehicle. Dave's reactions become part of the comedy as he watches himself filtered through Norm's absurdist lens. The bit demonstrates Norm's unique approach to comedy where failure is part of the structure. He doesn't care if the impression is technically good, he cares if it's funny. Letterman later said, Norm was one of the few people who could make fun of him and make him grateful for it. The segment works because both men understand the joke isn't the impression, it's the relationship. Norm's willingness to do a mediocre impression on the subject's own show is classic McDonald fearlessness. Dave appreciates that Norm treats him like a friend, not an authority figure. The impression becomes a moment of genuine connection disguised as mild disrespect. Norm's delivery is so dry, it takes the audience a second to realize he's even doing Dave. Piscopo sits down and essentially tries to turn Letterman into a character while Letterman is sitting right there judging it. The awkward bravery of doing the host's mannerisms to his face creates tension, like he's daring Dave to approve it. He exaggerates the cadence and attitude in a way that makes the studio laugh while Letterman reacts in real time. The humor is partly the impression and partly the question of, is Dave going to like this? It becomes a mini power game where the impression is also a provocation. Piscopo commits to the bit even when Dave's face shows he's not entirely sure how to respond. The impression captures Letterman's gap-toothed grin and his specific way of pausing before punchlines. Dave watches himself being performed, which creates this weird meta moment. The audience enjoys watching the host squirm slightly under the microscope of parody. Piscopo's version of Letterman is affectionate, but also pointed it highlights Dave's tics without being mean. The segment works because Dave has enough ego strength to laugh at himself. Piscopo Piscopo nails the delivery, the timing, even his physical posture. Letterman tries to interview Piscopo as Letterman, which creates recursive weirdness. The bit demonstrates the risk of doing the host you're either brave or insane. Piscopo manages to walk that line, making it funny without making it insulting. Dave's reactions oscillate between genuine amusement and slight discomfort. The impression forces Letterman to see himself from the outside, which few guests attempt. Piscopo's boldness pays off because the audience loves watching someone challenge the host's authority playfully. The segment became memorable, precisely because it was so audacious. Kevin Pollak, the Walken Whisperer.
Please be seated. It's nice to be here for Impressionist Week. It's always great to do the Late Show, see Paul, the great band, and Danny. This is...
Pollak comes out like he's about to do a regular set, then detonates into Walken's strange, comma-filled delivery. He leans into Walken's whispery intensity and makes normal words sound haunted and important. Letterman's setup barely matters because the voice itself becomes the engine of the segment. Pollak's version works because it's not only the sound, it's the odd pacing and the unsettling confidence. It's the kind of impression that turns into its own character the longer it goes. Pollak captures Walken's unique rhythm, where every sentence feels like it's about to go somewhere dark. The pauses land in unexpected places, making ordinary words feel loaded with meaning. Dave tries to keep the interview on track, but Walken's cadence is hypnotic. The audience reacts to every perfectly placed pause because they recognize the accuracy instantly. Pollak doesn't just mimic, he inhabits the strange energy that makes Walken so distinctive. The impression works on multiple levels: the voice, the attitude, the unpredictable pacing. Letterman surrenders to the bit because fighting Walken voice is impossible. Pollak's facial expressions match the vocal work, making it a complete performance. The segment becomes about watching a master impressionist demonstrate complete control. Walken's delivery is so specific that nailing it requires understanding his entire approach to language. Pollak clearly studied the rhythms and the emphasis patterns the way Walken turns simple sentences into mini monologues. Dave's delight is obvious, because good Walken is rare. This is exceptional Walken. The impression proved Pollak wasn't just doing voices, he was channeling entire personalities. The segment went viral, before viral was a thing because it was that perfectly executed. Which of these impressions do you think was the most accurate? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Any and all support is appreciated.